So, hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to our lightning talk. My name is Efrat Nirberger. I'm Principal Solution Architect at AWS for Telecom. Like, looking at you in the audience, I can tell you with high guarantee that you all have been experimenting with generative AI. Because, you know, it doesn't matter from which industry you are or which role you play, it actually is beyond the hype. It's actually transforming the way we work. The same thing happened in the telecommunication industry. This is a transformative era in which the way telco operate, innovate, and deliver value is actually now coming forth. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about how AWS bring you this comprehensive set of building blocks. It can be infrastructure, services, processes, capabilities that allow you to really create this transformative. And to bring it to life, I'm going to have on stage Roy Ben-Amotz from Amdocs, and he's going to explain how they infused generative AI into ConnectX, which is a telco-in-a-box SaaS offering, which is transforming the way they develop, they deploy, and then run on AWS. So let's go. We started talking about experiments, and this is a problem in which how do we move from experimentation into an actual live production? And we're having some challenges around it. First one is not really different from the way we actually evolved into cloud before. We need to understand the technology, we need to have maturity in the organization. It also means that we need to have an organization skill set. You know, we're having the learning curve that we need to create in the organization and all the practices around it. So CCAOE, it can be AI factories, all of them are going to be driver into changing the organization, the way adoption are being done. Second thing is about data. Data is in the heart of AI and generative AI. It actually allows you to get more from the specific data of your organization and really create the change. And this is super important, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're doing it in a government, private, and secure way. So that's actually really important, especially in a telco workload, to make that in mind. And then the last challenge that we have is around the definition of the right business use cases. Because should be our goal, like what do we bring to the market, what kind of value, added value are we bringing, and then taking it into production. So these are our design principles. First of all, choice of infrastructure. We need to make sure its performance is cost effective and it's the right infrastructure for your use case. And we're going to talk later on about the different solutions that we have in AWS for that. At the same time, when we bring these services, our security and compliance are built into these services. The next one is integrated data pipeline. So how do we bring the data for where it is, and the data in the organization can be spread across multiple locations? So we need to have an integrated pipeline of being able to access and use this data. A next principle that we have is about our partner ecosystem. Partner can be in all kind of like places. It can be from the infrastructure to the ISVs that are embedding these use cases and then giving you as off-the-shelf solution for you to adopt. It can be the SIs that allow you to, with the skilling that we meant before, about adoption and about running it into production. They're assisting you in the skill building. Next one is plug-and-play models. This is what we're going to talk about Bedrock later on, because we're giving you a rich ability to use different models, because we know that we don't have one model to beat them all. We have different models that will allow you to meet the use case in the best way, because reasoning doesn't mean that I need the same model as coding. So allowing you to pick the right model for the use case is important. And then the last one is about the developer experience, because we would like to simplify the way developer goes. We want to make creation an intuitive experience for them when they're picking from an API and don't need to learn the specification of the model. So it's just an API call away. If you've been in sessions on generative AI, I'm not going to spend much time on it. These are our three layers. You have probably seen them before. We talked about the choice of infrastructure, and we're having our custom silicon chips, which is Trainium and Inferentia, and we also have GPUs by NVIDIA. At the same time, we have Amazon SageMaker. We have GA'd it already in 2017. This has been used for traditional AI ML use cases, so you can build, run, deploy ML using SageMaker already. And both are the base for Bedrock, which is what I meant about the simplicity of building generative AI application. So it allows you this freedom of choice of the right model for your right use case. On top of it, if you want to no-code simple AI-driven assistant, we have Q Developer and Q Business. This is actually taking information and assisting you in your organization work. Developer allows you to do code and allow you to do testing. All activities are required for developer, while business allows you to access your organizational data. It can be Confluence, GitHub, and allows you to actually work much better inside your organization, and all with no code. But I want to take you into the telco, because what our approach is going to be is about our AI-driven telco, right? I know it's overwhelming. I promise you, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all of these rubrics, but I want to take you, one way above what you've seen. We mentioned the infrastructure, we mentioned Bedrock and SageMaker, but at the same time, in the telecom, we see a lot of our customers using NVIDIA already. So they're using NVIDIA AI Enterprise as their platform. We're allowing you to use the same platform on AWS. If you want to run inference, you can use NIM on top of AWS as well. So this is why I talked about the choice that you have, about what's your role, what's your maturity that you would like to run, and how your organization operates. When we look about the second line on model operation, I want to take you into one of the boxes, the second below, GenAI Gateway. We talked about experiment, and then when we go and look at telco grade deployment, we need to think about it in a different way. We need to create a platform that gives you operability, give you monitoring, security, multi-tenancy. So this is actually quite complicated when you want to move and you want to make sure that you have that. So the GenAI Gateway is kind of like a platform, is similar to the way we look at landing zone. This is the platform that actually takes you forward into actual deployment and running these into production. And then when we look at the primitives, it's like a big library of capabilities. One of them, for example, let's take text to SQL. Text to SQL is actually really useful when you want to ask the network. Just imagine, in the network we have structured data, so we would like to access the data in a simple question and then actually translate into a SQL query. So this is our primitives. On top of it, we have the telecom use cases. And again, it's up to you to decide, do you want to build your own use cases? You want to take something from a partner, very expanded ecosystem that allow you to simply take off the shelf and implement it into the organization. And this is what I mean about having a big library, an extensive list of building blocks, which is actually allowing you don't need to use all of it. These are things that you can actually use as part of your business case, as part of your prioritization, as part of your maturity of the organization. So with that, I want to show you someone who have taken from this big library of capabilities, and I'm going to invite to stage Ibn Amotz, and he's going to talk about ConnectX and how they've embedded generative AI capabilities into their solution.
Thank you, Efrat. So let's talk a little bit how we took everything and put it into ConnectX. But before we start, we need to talk what is ConnectX. So ConnectX is our telco-in-a-box solution. Telco in a box means you take everything a telco provider needs, starting from network integration, catalog, ordering, care, channels, very important, B2B, and eventually, last but definitely not least, monetization. You put them in one box, which is a set of APIs, services, UIs, and flows, and that becomes a whole solution. With ConnectX, that's exactly what we have done. And I want to take a little bit about the properties of it. So the first thing that was obvious for us when we started developing about 2 years ago, that it has to be SaaS. We cater for very large customers, but also very, very small. And we want to make sure that we can allow the small customers to onboard our platform and then grow with us. And the only way to really do that is a true multi-tenancy in a true SaaS, which brings us to choosing a hyperscaler. AWS was a no-brainer, right? You can only be as elastic as your underlying infrastructure. AWS incredible infrastructure of serverless allows us to be elastic, allows us to be flexible to our customers. We also made sure that our entire API set is industry standards. We use TMF, TM Forum. For those of you who don't know, TM Forum is the industry standard in the telco. everyone in the telco knows what it means, and everyone talk numbers. You'll see in a second. Now, why is that related to GenAI? Give me a minute, and I will connect TMF and GenAI. I think I'm the first one who's doing that. Two more things I want to discuss. One, extended ecosystem. And that's another thing of GenAI. You cannot do everything on your own. You have to use ecosystem. You have to connect the wonderful partners to eventually bring a whole solution to your brand. And all of this is to what we call empowerment, whether it's developer, admin, marketing, or the actual customer who uses the phone. They want self-service. They want to be empowered. They do not want to open tickets for IT, wait, and so forth. So how we do that? But we're here to talk about GenAI. So let's take a glimpse, because Efrat only gives me 10 minutes. Let's get a glimpse of how GenAI looks like from the different profiles that are using our system. We got developers and implementers and business and agent and customer, and we'll go over one by one. Start with developer. That would be us, SI, anyone else. We are an open platform. And we use Amazon Q for developers. We use it for a long time. And it helps us streamline processes. It helps us make our code better. It helps us a faster development. But one of the added value is, as I said, we use TMF APIs. And I said, everyone knows. Well, apparently, Amazon Q also knows them. So if you take something very common that a developer needs to do, pull some data from a web service, instead of actually writing everything, they can go and write something like create a function to pull information from TMF622, which is an ordering API-based service. And 4 seconds later, you got the whole code that takes care of connecting to the cloud, getting the service, modeling the service, allow the developer to focus net on the business logic that they need to do. For us, this is a game changer. It saves a whole lot of time. It also makes the code much better. Let's go to the next phase. And that's what we call implementation or setup. It used to be a very long process, few months to get a plain system running. With AWS Infra and GenAI, we're able to make it few minutes, okay? And we'll actually show it. So if you take a old system in the old world, there's a whole process of procurement, even in the cloud, procurement and setup and design and all this kind of stuff, and that takes time and effort and doesn't bring any business value by itself. It's the work you need to do in order to start doing the work. By using AWS Infra and serverless, we are able to, first of all, eliminate a lot of this work. But then we take it one step further. We use Amazon Bedrock to make sure that a tenant created or a brand created is already with the relevant information. And I want to show you that. So we start by physically brand creation. I want to take and build a new environment. We completely automate the process, and in 15 seconds, after you fill up a little form, you have a new environment. Why is that important? And that's actually funny. We started by just wanting to save the 4 months, shrink them, save cost, save effort, but it goes much more than that. It allows the customer itself, the brand itself, to create additional environment. So think of an MVNO who wants to become an MVNE. Think of an MVNO who wants another environment for QA, for innovation, for hackathon. Okay, 15 seconds, you have another environment. But once you have environment, it needs to be hydrated with data. And you don't want to go template. You don't want predefined cookie cutters data because it doesn't fit your specific need. So with Amazon Bedrock, we are able to have a little wizard with open-ended questions that the brand can answer whatever they need, and the system understand what they need and start building a whole environment. So after a few minutes, I get catalog with products, I get MSI SDNs, I get user, I get provisioning, I get eSIM, and not only that, I get, of course, images that matches my description. This is a brand I created about 2 days ago for this session. Actually, I'm using it at the moment. My eSIM is connected to this. So after a few minutes, you got your whole catalog pre-populated with data based on your questions that you just answered, a mobile app that is ready to go live production, and well, you probably won't go live. You probably go and tweak it a little bit. We make sure that human has the final say. We watch Terminator. We know that humans need to have the final say, but you have a starting point, more than the starting point. And even after that, as you go live, you want to tweak the system. One of the most common things, you create a new offer. So you can go and just create an offer, with many checkboxes and text, and that's okay. But sometimes you want to just describe, so you can go to the system and say, create an offer for a world traveler who calls occasionally home. Again, few seconds, you got an offer ready. Still allows you to tweak it, change it, have a little QA cycle, but then push it, roll it to production. So from thinking about offer to have it in production, few seconds. Think of another user of the system. We got a CSR, support agent. They got a customer calling, they have a problem, they have an issue. They have a bunch of information. We have tons of information. Usage record, customer preferences, history, and so forth. They don't have time to start going through them. A little bit of GenAI, a little bit secret sauce, a lot of SageMaker, and we could do a little summary for the CSR, for the customer service representative, to immediately see what's the story of this customer. Okay? Now, all of those AI, one of the things that we take pride, we package them into what we call smart agent. So each feature is its own separate platform that we develop or someone else develop and upload it to our marketplace, allowing the brain to pick and choose whatever feature they want. And I want to show you a little example of that. Let's talk about billing. Building in Telco is a very daunting process. Think of it, every month you need to create millions and millions and millions of bills, and they have to be extremely accurate because the customer will get the wrong bill, not happy, and for some reason mistakes always happen, not in the favor of the customer. Now, in the past, we had this part automatic, part manual process that based on, let's get a sample data of 1,000 bills or something like that, do manual QA, and after that, if it's okay, we'll push the button and 5 million bills will go out with very little QA on top. With smart agents, we can pick and choose and have them run over each bill that is generated. So 5 million bills are generated, 5 million bills are fully QA'd, even corrected and changed based on the customer history, based on heuristics, based on predictions of the machine learning. And when you roll out those bills, you know that you are fine. It's small, but it's a game changer for telco providers. And I have plenty of other examples, but I'm running out of time. So with that, I'll go back to Efrat.
Thank you, Roy. You know what? It's really impressive to see what you're using, and kind of like when I speak to you, every single time I speak to you, there's something else and something new that you're embedding, which comes into the question of what the future holds. And I was actually really, debating what's going to happen. And I have a feeling like what's going to happen is similar to what you showed in one of the slides, is that the implementer moving to the business. The business now having access to the data is empowered in a simplified way to actually use it in a much better way. So they have all the tools and capability without the actual technology that is restraining him to actually using it. What's your thoughts? Is it kind of like resonate with you?
That's exactly what we are seeing. We see the AI and the system easiness takes the process, move it up from the developer to the implementer, from the implementer to the business, and all the way to the customer. That allows everyone to react much, much faster. And honestly, they do things that we didn't think. The system keeps evolving based on customer feedback. They have these new tools. They play with those tools. We learn and get the feedback, and the system keeps evolving. Next year, I have absolutely no idea what it's going to be.
We definitely need to meet next year and see what happens since.
It's a date.
So with that, if you move to the next slide, thank you all for being on this session. If you have any questions, you're welcome to come and ask us. There are lots of other telco really interesting sessions, workshops, builders, so you're welcome to join it. And with that, let's go to the thank you slide.
Yeah.
And we are done. Thank you so much.